right, and we're on. Good morning or good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me. This is Psycho Silver. My name is Jerome. I do hope that today you're counting your wealth in ounces and also that you're holding your word, especially to yourself. Thanks again for joining me. I got a whole bunch of news for you. And I wanted to say before we jump in that I'm really excited to be getting this channel rolling right now while there's so many big changes happening throughout the world. What a time. What a time. I do hope that you notice the frequent improvements that I'm making to this broadcast, and that you please continue to give me feedback on how I'm doing and what you like and what you don't like. It's never been so important that people become financially educated. I feel like I have a unique opportunity to bring some information and knowledge to people that maybe other people can't reach the same people that I could. I think I'm uniquely positioned through my experience and who I am to show more people that they can also understand finance, at least in the sense of, you ought to have your personal finances in order and be thinking about that and acting upon that and creating a plan. But also it's important to understand what's going on in the global economy and how that impacts politics, and make you think about who you're voting for and why, because money is the root of everything, or it often is. And we begin to understand a lot of the social issues, a lot of things that don't make sense until you look at it through the lens of finance. And then it makes a whole lot of sense. So you can believe what the money tells you and not just what the story is. I hope that makes sense. There's so much going on right now, and things are shifting. We're moving back to real assets. Wealth is going to be measured in ounces for sure, amongst other things that you can hold in your hand. There'll always be intangible things of great value, like art, and technology is of great value, and it's intangible, right? But we moved really far away from commodities, meaning things that everybody uses, and the abundance thereof being a measure of wealth. And a lot of just things were wealth because they were novelty. And I guess that's what kind of happens at a peak of a cycle. We had the credit cycle, and I do believe in the fourth turning. I believe in the Great Awakening, and I do believe in the Great Reset. All things are one and the same, or maybe they're slightly different, and we have all three coinciding with this credit cycle. But the growth is unsustainable, and we have the whole world on the dollar debt system, which must grow exponentially for it to continue as it is. And it appears as we've hit a point in history where we're going to no longer be able to go at that trajectory. That trajectory is faltering. And what happens next after that is what we're about to find out. Can the system be adjusted in some way and made to look at least quasi like it has? Or will the disruption in the exponential growth and the way that it is modeled, will the disruption in that just bring about the entire demolition of it? Well, we're about to find out, aren't we? But for today, I got a whole bunch of news for you. We're looking at global finance and economics. We're looking at the psychology of money, especially pertaining to the average person and the misinformation they encounter when they try and educate themselves. And it's going to tie into politics a little. You can't do one without the other. So join me. Let's get into the news. I got a whole bunch of cool stuff for you. And definitely give me feedback about, I got more new stuff. Hopefully it looks really cool. You let me know. All right. First up, we're going to keep an eye on every day. Every day. We have the 10-year yield here, 10-year treasury. And it's off those crazy highs that we saw. Let me get my highlighter going here. We're off our crazy highs that we saw a couple days apart there. Touching and passing 4% briefly. Very important to keep an eye on that 4%, I believe. And I can't even imagine 5 and 6. I don't even know what to make of that. We're already about to start a new day over here, but we'll still go through yesterday's data. Stock futures up a hair before opening. Bonds, US bonds. We got other countries here. Japanese bonds going down a little. UK bond down a little. Well, that is good news or bad news depending on how you see it. All red on the bonds. Okay. Gold slightly up. Silver slightly up. Oh, silver even went down more than I thought. We almost breached 19 again to the downside. Copper, platinum, palladium, all green, just by a smidgen. How's crypto doing? Bitcoin under 19 again. Okay. Ethereum under 13 still. All right. Let's jump into the good stuff. Let me close that window there. Interesting tweet from 4chan. I like 4chan. Sometimes it's doom and gloom, but sometimes I find ideas there and people there that you just know they wouldn't be on Twitter. And it's not because they're saying anything super outrageous or wrong or morally reprehensible, but you do see that too. But it's just its own beast out there on the chans. Here, one user writes, the U.S. is now officially insolvent. At 4% interest on 32 trillion, this is completely unsustainable, and it's not slowing down. The U.S. is now permanently upside down and in hyperinflation times. So we did cross that 4%, and I guess this is a post from the day before. The US dollar became Zimbabwe bucks last night. 4% is insolvency. 5% is global depression. 6% is global financial meltdown with no survivors. Oh, that's a little dark. Well, that's the same question I'm asking myself, is when the system is fully compromised and we do have the cascade of debt defaults, what happens? We're going to find out. And one thing is the difference between 4, 5, and 6% is a long ways. It's a long ways because this is also on a curve, right? Hope that makes sense. These interest rates are curved, especially in how much money they suck out of the system. So it's asymmetrical. 1% up on the interest is quite a bit of money. And I've never done the math, but I'm sure that it's... I wonder if this user did do any math, if they're just talking smack. I know there's a certain point of interest where, you know, you're looking at 32 trillion and then you're calculating the interest payments on carrying that debt every year, and it does become permanently upside down, right? Particularly when you account for how much can you actually tax and how much has been promised. And eventually that'll be austerity. Austerity will be the only way. Who knows? Does everyone here know what austerity is? There's a word for the future. I can see into the future. I can see into the future. This will be a word people know. Sternness or severity of manner or attitude. I guess I mean economic austerity. Here we go. Wikipedia. Austerity is a set of political economic policies that aim to reduce government budget deficits through spending cuts, tax increases, or a combination of both. Remember those words. Here we have a chart of gold. This user writes, Norvast writes, for new followers, the current 30-year gold cycle. And there you have a decidedly upward trend. That's 25 years, but you got this main trend here. But I do believe what we'll see is here's the new trend line, because it's going to get steep going forward. Real steep. Probably even, yeah, it's going to be crazy. Oh, it's coming. You can be sure of that. A lot of people don't know that. I mean, there's periods where on this leg up right here, it was outperforming the S&P. Not true anymore, but most people would never even fathom that gold could outperform the S&P for 25 years or whatever. But since this leg down, that wouldn't be true anymore. It will be true again very soon here. They're already headed in those directions. Walter Bloomberg writes, Russia's Putin. We will continue moving towards settlements in local currencies for energy supplies. Of course, yes. All energy. People are going to want to use their own currency to buy and sell energy. Why do they care so much about enriching Americans and using dollars if they don't have to? But in a lot of instances, they do have to. We're seeing Saudi Arabia, Russia, Brazil, all big energy producers. China. Did I say India already? Yeah. Moving away from dollars into the BRICS and other. Here's an article from Al Jazeera. Speaking of which, here's another example. Here's an article from Al Jazeera. Europe turns to Africa for gas alternative to Russia. Africa's natural gas reserves are vast, and countries like Algeria have pipelines linked to Europe, but exports remain low. A new liquefied natural gas project off of Africa's western coast may only be 80% complete, but already the prospect of a new energy supplier has drawn visits from the leaders of Poland and Germany. Yeah, they're and I'm sure they're getting out there like, please speed it up, guys. We're fucking dying over here. The initial field, Senegal coastlines and Mauritania's coastlines are expected to contain about 5 trillion cubic feet of gas, 5 times more than what gas-dependent Germany used in all of 2019. But production isn't expected to start until the end of next year. I mean, honestly, though, if it's 15 trillion cubic feet, but it's only 5 times as much as Germany would be using in 5 years, it's big, but not that big, right? Something to keep an eye on. Nigeria has Africa's largest natural reserves. Projects face the risk of energy theft and high costs. Other promising countries like Mozambique have discovered large gas reserves only to see projects delayed by violence from armed groups. Oh, man. Digging deeper and deeper for that energy, are we? All right, next up. Here we have a tweet from RT. Been getting fire news from RT. All the best articles. RT writes, Kiev receives first unit of German air defense system. And this is not a world war, correct? Ukrainian Defense Minister Alex Rezanov has hailed the arrival of the Iris-T as the beginning of a new era of air defense. Here we have a post from Psycho Silver. Psycho Silver writes, Facebook, the largest social media site, has less users for the first time since it was created. This makes me think about how internet technology and the metaverse will flourish. But first, we cycle back to real life and real stuff and real money. #silver. I can't imagine how Facebook would assume this curve of growth. I don't think that it's possible. People have had enough of Facebook. And the pivot to the metaverse isn't there yet. Here's a tweet from Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge writes, Gazprom CEO warns EU whole towns could freeze this winter. Even though Europe's natural gas storage for this winter is nearly full, the head of Russian energy Gazprom still warned European households could freeze in the event of a cold snap. Winter can be relatively warm, but 1 week or even 5 days will be abnormally cold, and it's possible whole towns and lands, God forbid, will freeze. You got an energy curve. We'll find out. Energy. It's going to be quite the topic for discussion. Here we have a chart from Grady, commodities and TA cycles. If there was ever a true inflection point during this 2-year sideways move since August 2020, right here at the 21-year blue trend line qualifies, I would say. Oh, and we were looking at gold too. Yeah, gold is certainly at an inflection point right here. And this is a different chart because I do believe this is on a logarithmic scale. And this makes sense, actually. Very interesting. You know what I think. You know what I think. TF Metals report writes, the Sauds are not messing around, throwing it right back at Pettis. Paradigm shifting times. This is exactly on topic here. And this is quoting Jack Posobiec. Posobiec wrote, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia confirms Biden attempted to coerce them to postpone oil cuts until after the midterms. They announced that they have rejected this quid pro quo. What do you guys think? Speaks for itself? Of course. We have a retweet from the Happy Hawaiian. The U.S. Treasury Secretary Yellen, I'm concerned about the loss of adequate liquidity in treasuries. That's a lot of fancy talk for no one wants our debt anymore, right? Isn't that what's happening? People that would be buying bonds, they're not even yielding. I mean, they're yielding now because they have to, but inflation is so high, the real yields are not there. And they're saying you're $32 trillion in debt, and I need somewhere to park my money. Why do I want treasuries? So I can lose for sure to inflation. But the problem is there's not really other good place to put it unless they're already thinking like we're thinking and they're going into metals. But we do see Happy Hawaiian wrote, here we go, finally. And I guess the Happy Hawaiian just means Yellen's finally admitting that it's a problem. And they're calling it loss of liquidity, loss of adequate liquidity. Peter Schiff writes, Pepsi exposed the fraud of the CPI by revealing year-over-year price hikes of 17%. That's double the government's official estimate. 17% likely represents a much better indication of the true annual rise in the cost of living. The Fed's going to need a bigger rate hike. But we can't afford it, can we? That is the rock in the hard place. Peter Schiff's been taking a lot of heat lately, but I still really like the guy. Here we have a tweet from James. Leverage Degenerate James. That's a funny name. James writes, it's fun to bear post silver, but the price action is a bottoming out pattern. Sentiment looks absolutely shot as well. Seems a lot of precious metals folks have shifted their focus to energy stocks. I feel good about accumulating here. I'm accumulating here. I was accumulating there. I'm accumulating. And I guess it depends on where you go. There's a lot of people that are just trying to ride the momentum of a move, but I think from the regular old stackers and the people that have kind of know what's going on, there's been no negative sentiment. We're right where we want to be, even if we might be a little bit down in our position. I feel great. Here we have a tweet from the Silver Babe. Silver Babe says, hearing this from other countries too. Let me read the tweet. 4 to 8 weeks delivery time. Over here, I guess that's NL's Netherlands. Many items marked not available. They're talking about silver is taking a month or two to get delivered to them. We have the Silver Babe responding. We're hearing this in other countries too. Silver squeeze is an international movement. Yeah, well, protecting your money is an international movement. Let's open this article up here. This is from the Asia Times. I've been getting good articles from the Asia Times. New U.S. chip ban takes tech war to dire next level. In a major escalation of the U.S.-China war, China's memory chip sector is expected to be particularly hit hard by new export restrictions imposed by the United States, according to Chinese analysts and commenters. That bleak assessment comes after the Yanzi's Memory Technologies company in China's top, China's top memory chip maker, and 30 other Chinese entities were added to the U.S. Commerce Department's Bureau of Industry and Security's unverified list. Oh, they're unverified. The BIS said it was unable to verify the bona fides of the Chinese firms because an end-use check could not be completed satisfactorily for reasons outside of the control of the U.S. authorities. Okay, that's like a Putin excuse. I don't know what happened, guys. it was maintenance. Someone didn't perform their regularly scheduled maintenance. It's a glitch. The BIS said it was unable to verify. Okay, I said that already. It said that named companies would face restrictions when trying to purchase U.S. products. Okay, we got the idea. Why is this so dire? Let's see if it tells us why this is so dire. Since the early 2020, the U.S. has stopped the Netherlands from exporting its extreme ultraviolet lithography equipment to China, hobbling its ability to produce high-end chips smaller than 22 nanometers. So the Netherlands is making the super high-end, and the Chinese are like the intermediate creators of these. Interesting. I want to remember this. This is really interesting. On August 9th of this year, President Joe Biden signed the CHIPS Science Act to boost domestic semiconductor production and scientific research to enhance U.S. competitiveness vis-a-vis China. At the same time, media reports said Washington was considering limiting the export of U.S. semiconductor producing equipment to Chinese chip makers. The Chinese are using these capabilities to monitor, track, and surveil their own citizens while fueling the country's military modernization. The main takeaway that I'm seeing here, the main thing that's standing out, now we're limiting each other's technology, and I'm sure those chips are a big moneymaker for the Chinese. Let me read this part. Under the BIS restrictions, mainland China chip-based fabs That's the fabricators that produce logic chips of 16 nanometers or below, DRAM memory chips of 18 nanometers, half pitch or less, and NAND chips with 128 letters or more will have to apply for licenses to purchase the items from the US. I bet this goes so deep. I'm gonna favorite this article. I got it's a little too convoluted. This almost has to be a little standalone thing too. Very fucking interesting, especially the part about the special equipment from the Netherlands, eh? All right, here we have a chart from Grady again. Grady writes, precious metals are at an inflection point, or still at an inflection point. He said that on something else. This is the largest legit looking cup and handle I've ever seen. And we have silver at a quadruple support, orange handle arc, black line, blue line, and the fib at 62. Always know the very big picture. And there's your cup. I think you all know that. There's your handle. There's your support of the cup handle. And the pink one is your fib. This black one here is a super long-term trend line. And the blue looks like it's some sort of channel that it broke out of. So that would be acting as support now, correct? Buy silver. Buy silver. Here's a tweet from the famous Michael. Thank you, Michael. COMEX gold withdrawals continue. Almost 10 million ounces since May 6th. Vault totals remain at lowest point since May 26th, 2020. Open interest now equal to 164% of all vaulted gold and 350% of registered gold. COMEX silver. COMEX silver drops 303,000 ounces, remaining at lowest level since May 28th, 2020. Registered silver drops 25k ounces again, just a little tiny drop in registered silver. Still lowest since October 23rd, 2017. Open interest now equal to 202% of all vaulted silver and 1,567% of registered silver. One more tweet from Michael. Michael writes, I'm headed to bed. This is a few hours ago. I wanted to confirm the number did indeed go over 100k ounces of silver today. So APMEX with over 100,000 ounces of silver sold. Big day, big day there at APMEX. Here we have a chart from Game of Trades. Game of Trades writes, we've gone from record quantitative easing to record quantitative tightening. 3.1 trillion wiped out in 7 months from central bank's balance sheet. Let that sink in. I did see somebody disputed this chart underneath, but it does appear to be from Bank of America. I mean, even if that's not entirely accurate, it's still at least partially true. I did read a good book today, or I didn't read it, I listened to it, The Psychology of Money. And I did post it here just to keep a record. This Twitter is also for record keeping for me. So I'm running the show through the Twitter, getting all the interesting links and feeding them into Twitter. And then I'm taking all my personal notes and all the stuff I'm reading and putting that into tweets as well. Okay, so here's one thing that's going to relate to this show that I read in the book, okay? History doesn't repeat itself, but men do. Yes, number 10. And the lesson from this book, that I'll bring to this show is you have to be flexible depending on your era and upbringing. Depending on that, you'll be conditioned to miss opportunities in bonds or stocks or savings or cash or 401k or precious metals. It has everything to do. If you were born, like if you were a teenager during the stock market crash, the big one of the late 20s, you probably have a negative view of stocks. Like that's where you lose your money. But somebody that was coming into awareness during the year, let's say, let's just say you're a teenager and you're too young to remember, you were too young to remember 2008. And so at least since 2008, 2010, we've been in 12 years of stock growth. And if that's you and you're reaching maturity now, you're 22, you're 25, like stocks seem like a really good idea. They seem like something you can trust, that they always go up, that it's a good investment and people have done well in it. Every time you put on the news, it's positive sentiment. And vice versa, you probably think bonds are dog shit. Like they don't give you anything. They're an old, weird, stupid way of investing. Why would I want bonds when I can 10x in crypto, right? But we're about to find out the risk involved in crypto. And I don't know if they can even afford to pay the damn interest on the bonds, but technically they should be a great way to invest right now. It should be a great era for making money in savings, even in savings on good interest that a lot of people have never even heard of getting interest on your savings account, right? Because banks don't even offer that anymore. It's been the era of no interest. I don't know what comes next. I know silver comes next, but the point is you have to stay flexible, and that's the good part about reading history is you can have a better chance of understanding that here's an opportunity by reading history. Here we have a cross post from Reddit. This is exactly what I was just talking about. This is perfect. Lucky. So here's a post from Reddit, and this user writes, "This is just a friendly reminder to all you bulls out there." Let me get this a little bigger. Friendly reminder to all you bulls out there. On an inflation-adjusted basis, the S&P 500 took almost 30 years to match its 1929 peak, 25 years to match its 1968 peak, and 15 years to match its 2000 peak. Good luck. Speaks for itself, right? Even if is it possible we go to zero interest rates or the Japanification of our economy and you just see stocks shoot up? That is the hyperinflation scenario, but you can have a good ride up with stocks while it's happening, right? Possibly. I would keep an eye out for that scenario. But silver should also do really well, and silver's going to do good no matter what. It's the perfect place to be. Okay, next up. I'll spare you my political post there. I won't do that until y'all start asking me for more political opinions. Here is a really cool post from Silverbugs. This user wrote, "My dad asks me if I want some old silver coins. Sure, thinking it's 5 or 6. The mail comes today with this. It is beautiful. Look at all those quarters and dimes, and there's Walkers and Franklins in there. This is freaking awesome." Oh, he writes, "Thanks, Dad. That's really freaking great." And I would love to leave someone a big old box of silver like that. That would make me so happy. Several people. Imagine how much it's going to be worth. Ooh. Jerome gave me a box of silver, someone's going to say, and they're going to be like, oh my God. Because it's treasure. It's treasure. Always has been. Always will be. here we had a tweet. Do I want to? Yeah, we have MIA. You know this musician? Yeah, she was bringing up the 2008 financial crash in regards to the recent news about Pfizer. We'll just leave it at that. The recent news about Pfizer. And she's just pointing out other things where we haven't exactly had justice. And that relates directly to this tweet you see right here. And I don't know, are they cracking down on censorship these days, guys? I'll just let you read that one for yourself, okay? Here we have a tweet from Cash Money Gula. JP Morgan is closing Kanye's accounts. PayPal is fining people $2,500 for misinformation. AJ has to pay $935 million. AT is getting his financial accounts locked. They're really showing us if you're against the system, they will fuck you up and big time. Why not? I hope these people are finding out about okay, I can see something like Monero in this situation. And I'm sure there's other privacy coins. This has never been so important for privacy coins. Because you do need to be able to travel. And you can't exactly do it with the suitcase of gold, right? And that is that's one of the upsides of crypto and one of the downsides of metal. But metal is the original confiscatable money. Privacy, the original privacy coin, literally. Privacy coins. We're probably getting this news any second now. Should we have a look real quick? Maybe these are CPI predictions, but let's see if we get the actual CPI if that's out yet, because we're getting pretty early in the morning here. Going strong at 5 a.m. I promise to do a show every day. Look at me. I said I would do it. I'm not about to let you guys down now. CPI. That's the only thing when I have this recording software going at the same time. The browser gets a little slow. I might have to start streaming with two computers. That would be pretty cool. Two computers stream. Latest. Let's go. Okay, this user writes, massive liquidation in CPI is not out yet. God save Bitcoin. Is this in the crypto markets? What do we got here? Massive okay, yeah, there is. These are the rect charts, and we do see people are getting pounded out of. This is just the last hour. You see in all these different coins, people getting pounded out of positions. Yeah, so this is actual liquidation of leverage positions. I don't know on what exchange though. Oh, this is OKX. Okay. Yep. Great post. Thank you, user Arturo. Let's open up this US CPI. This is going to be when I'm like a hair away from doing live streams, guys. And this is going to be so fun to fucking do on live streams. Yes. This is going to be awesome. Okay, it looks like we don't have that data yet. Everyone's just guessing still. Okay. Says 11%. Okay, I know you're joking. All right, on to the next post here. And we do see again, I'll reiterate the news, this time from Uncle Hotep. He writes, The same JP Morgan Chase that got caught moving cartel dope on ships only had to pay $1 billion tax fine, right? And here we have Kanye West canceled by JP Morgan Chase. And I believe they did not give him a reason, but he has till November 21st, 2022 to move all of his funds out of JP Morgan. And do remember, we've studied this on this show. JP Morgan is the largest holder of derivatives in the world. I think it was $50 fucking trillion in derivatives, guys. 50 trillion. The largest holder. And the next one down is not even close. I can't remember. I think it was Goldman Sachs was the next one down. And they had something like Goldman Sachs had some like 30 trillion in total derivative position. Here we have Candace Owens with her take on that. If Alex Jones pays for lying, shouldn't every celebrity pushing the have to pay too? Here we have a tweet from the great Marti. He writes, Meta, we were looking at Facebook recently, right? Here's the stock price. And it does look, and I kind of found that data on my own, how they were they had less users for the first time, but the stock was already taking a hit. He writes, Zuckerberg, it's the Titanic and Zuckerberg should walk away. Ooh, that looks brutal. And they've already breached to the downside there. Ouch. And I bet this Meta was a prominent position in a lot of people's 401ks too. That can't feel very good. Companies in the United Kingdom are being asked for loans from their pension funds. So the companies are wanting to borrow against their pension funds, and the pension funds are in trouble. It sounds like a real shit show. Yikes, guys, yikes. Was that already part of the problem that was going on there? Last tweet I have for us. Oh, and this is a good last tweet to end the show on. For now, we'll be back. Ponzi Finance writes, the debt-cloaked counterfeit stonk matrix is running on fumes, and everyone should watch out for that CPI number tomorrow. The smell of roasted black swan is in the air. Oh, what a tweet. What a tweet. And if that doesn't build your anticipation, then what will? The thrill of finance in the final days of the debt Ponzi system. Oh, guys. The thrill of finance and the final days of the debt-based dollar Ponzi scheme. All right. I do hope that my show here, oh, my lights went out. I do hope that my show here, you're noticing the improvement in the quality and that I'm serving you. And I hope you enjoyed the show today. We're going to do another one later. I don't know why my lights turned off. There we go. I wonder how long they were off. Probably all episode. Oh, wow. I must be delirious because I'm blabbing. We're going to be back later for more news. And I might even live stream. We'll see. But I do appreciate you watching my show. And we have a big day in finance coming up. I do hope that you are in good health. And if you're not in good health, I do hope that you get well soon. And I appreciate you for your time. And I'll be back very, very soon. And you have a good night or a good morning. Goodbye.